Hello guys, hope everyone is doing very well. So this video is about the mock class or mock quiz, the mock quiz that I have on Moodle for you. So over here is the folder. In the folder you'll have the Excel sheet, the data set, and also the mock quiz. Let's take a look at the two files so far. So the first file is the data file. The data file, we have multiple variables. It's almost exact same as the file that we've been working with. So I didn't want to give you a brand new file for now. So the file have the street name. The file has the street name, the street number, street name, the number of rooms, but here the name is room, and on house, yes and no. And I have some extra entries for you. Alright, let's get started then. Let's start with the questions of the quiz. As you can see guys, with this quiz there is a dataset description, so I will always give you the description of the dataset, tell you what this variable means so that you have a sense of whether this variable is categorical or numeric. And now then we'll have the questions. Usually I like to put the questions into sections so that you feel accomplished once you're done with one section and go back and work on the second section, third section. With the Python module of this course, I usually give the students 1 day or 2 to complete the project and then submit it. So with the next quiz, I will not give you like 1 hour during class time. I will give you kind of weekend to finalize the quiz and submit it, okay? So let's get started, and this is why I have multiple sections for you. In the final quiz, hopefully we will have one more section about in the final quiz, when things are done, we might have another section for the outliers. So this is the last topic that I would like to cover on data pre-processing. All right, let's get started and see what we can do. So what did Ms. Nora give us in section 1? Question 1, read the Excel file and store it as data frame called data. Okay, so the first thing I would do is I will make sure that I have all my files nicely done in the folder. You will be having all your files in this Colab notebooks folder. For me, I have my files on a different folder. I haven't showed you how to create your own folder. It's easy, you know. You can just put all these files in there. Okay, so I have all my files done, organized, ABC. So for this quiz, probably the most relevant files are part 1, part 2, and let's get started. I open up the files, I'll do that, and then I will start with a new code file, excuse me. And I will start with a new notebook, okay? Alright, starting with a new notebook, I better here I have my name, Nora. So the first thing, I'll have to read the file. So in order to read the file, I'm just gonna copy what she told us to do here. So here's reading the file. Shift Enter to run the cell. Okay, and then I have to choose the file. Of course, you should download the folder on Moodle and save it somewhere. As for me, I don't have to do this because I already have all the files saved somewhere over here. Okay? Alright. And it is example something, see here. Okay, then I want to continue reading this file. So I'm gonna now read it as a data frame. So I'm gonna read it as a data frame, but she said read it as data, or save it, sorry, as data. So I'm gonna save it as data, and I should copy this, right? the name of the file and replace it by the old name, right? So this is the first thing you should be doing, and this shouldn't take you that long. And here we go. Here is the file. Okay, if the file is any longer, then probably it won't show all the cells. Okay, so now what does she wants us to do? This is done. Congratulations. I am done with this. Question number 2. So I might ask you also to add here a text and copy the question. So you add a text here and then you say, okay, where is the question? Here's a question 1. So you're going to take a question 1 and double click here and add it, shift enter, and here's question 1. Then once you're done with question 1, what you need to do is add a text and also add question 2 here. So you just do that and add here question 2. Cool? Cool. Okay. Very good. All right. So what is question 2? Which variables are numerical? Which variables are categorical? That is a very interesting question, right? In fact, I used to have a code to show me which variables are numeric. Yes. I think it's within the pandas. In any case, I would like to do something. Would like to talk a little bit about checking the variables now as you're looking into the data set, and you would like to just check the variables, right? So let me just take a look like that. Let's say that you have so many variables over here and you can't see them very well. So we talked about this. We're going to use the df.describe kind of method so that we can get, oh, there's no df, I'm sorry, it is data. Hello? Hello? Hi? أيوة. اوكي بعتيلي ايميل لو سمحتي وراح ارد عليه. Okay, thank you so much. Okay. Bye bye. Okay, I'm sorry guys. I'm sorry, I just had to take this and I had to speak her language. In fact, it's just a sales phone call. I'm sorry. Okay, data.describe. Okay, so now data.describe will not give me what I want, right? I need data.info that we talked about it last time. I want data.info. So I'm going to take data.info and then take a look. So I have these following variables. Street name, and it's a float. That is a street number and it's a float. And the street name, and it's an object, which is in pandas means it's a string. Room, it's an object. That is so so weird because this is supposed to be like a number. And object here is the own house. Okay. And now you might be thinking, since this is a float is decimals, it's a numeric variable. Listen, this variable contains numbers, but these numbers are not numbers to be added or averaged or. Honestly speaking, really. They're not the numbers that their average means something. It's a street number. Your street number is 137. Your street number is 265. It's just a code. It's just a number. It's like your student ID. If you divide it by 2, would it mean anything to you? If you multiply it by 2, no. So this is why I was also, even if we do the following, if we put something like data, I think it is like data frame, or if you put like something like data and was it get numeric? I don't remember. Yeah. Get numeric. I forgot which one do we. I forgot how I used to do this. But we can also look at the D types as well, guys. There was a way that I used to do this, just to look at. So as you can see, D types also gives me the same thing here. But I actually, the way that I wanted to tell you about, there's some code like you put data dot get a numeric or something like that, and you get a numerical data, it's gonna be more or less not the correct answer necessarily, okay? Did you understand what I'm trying to tell you? Understanding this is the key. Being a human being is the key. A human being will understand that street number, and I look here, I added the word code number so that you better understand, you can better understand this. So a street number is just a number, it's a label. So it's kind of like 3, 5, 6, 7. I already explained it. Even though it is a number, but it's not necessarily the numeric data type that could be added, subtracted, and had a meaning. Even though when we're doing the missing data, what we're doing is we're doing maybe an average, but that doesn't necessarily mean it is really a valid street number. We might not find it in the records, the city records. We won't find it in the city records, right? Because it's just maybe the average of all the street numbers is not a number that even existing in the city records, right? Street name is just a string, or here in pandas it is an object. So in NumPy, I think they look at it as a string or text, but here's object, they call it. Room is very surprising to me that room number is here an object. It's supposed to be something like integer or numeric, but it's here object. So this is also one more reason not to trust this, and always look at the data, the first like couple of lines of the data, like data head, I think. Let's see, check, and you can at least take a look at the very few lines of the data if you know you can't have enough with the data itself over here. But with Google Colab, I stopped even using this altogether. Okay. So now answer this question. So I'm going to have to first copy the question. Did I copy the question? Because if I tell you that to copy the questions, you should, here. So you are going to say here maybe the answer. So you can answer it somewhere here in text, and then say something like, put it something like numerical variables are room number or room. So it is the same here, room. That's it. It's the only numerical variable. So this is the numerical variable that its addition, subtraction means something. And then we have categorical variables. If you are in doubt, like your heart is not easy about it, then I suggest this answer is fine. Categorical variables, and you say here it's this. It is street number, street name. Let's take street name first. I have something in mind here. If you want to add here, if you want to add here a break, just add the break like that, okay? Which is a new line. And here street name is categorical for sure. And own house is also categorical. Of course, also the street number is categorical, but you can say categories in numerical coding or numerical codes. It's exactly like dummy variables. What are the dummy variables? Dummy variables are no longer all of a sudden became numeric, really. They are encoded. They are encoded as numbers, but these numbers means a label. They have a kind of label category. Even though technically we can add them, we can subtract them, we can have their mean, yeah? But they don't, the aggregation doesn't mean anything. Okay, so this is too much time I spent here explaining too much about this answer of this question. Okay, so now let's start with section 2. And section 2 we have this question about imputing the missing variables. Let's get started here. Okay, impute the missing variables of the numerical variables. Okay, the numerical variables here is one numerical variable, which is the room. So let's get started with the room. I am going to start looking at my code. This is what you need to do, really. So there is not much, to do. But before I just do anything, as Nora told us, it's maybe a very good idea that you start with the unifying all the here. Please unify all the missing variables encoding. Okay, so if you probably noticed in here, I told you that sometimes I do that. I also add -1 and 99. I suggest that you add these. Maybe I should also add a little question to add. Maybe I should actually guide you through this because some of you might forget to do this. So maybe I'm gonna just add a question in the mock exactly what to do and maybe say something like here note or hint or whatever you want to call it. Start by unifying all the missing values encoding by declaring or defining a list of all possibilities, including -1 and 99. 999. Okay. So now, if you've been studying here, you can see that I have 999 and others. So I said that we add these. So I'm just gonna add these. And here we go. And then you need to remember that we no longer have df, we have data. So here we go. And a mistake. What happened? Oh, do you see what happened here? You have to change this one. So let's copy this and let's have it here because this is the older data set. It's a new file now. Okay. So as you can see here now the data, the missing data is now all unified. Okay. Now that we've done that, if you want, why don't you get a report? So I can also ask you to, maybe I would like to ask you a question here. Maybe question 3 should be something like, I could ask something like that. What's the percentage of missing data in each variable? for this to be answered, you need to get this piece of code, and this piece of code, you just need to change data. Do you see report of missing data? You not just need to change data instead of df, because I asked you to save it as data. Let's do this very quickly. It's just a matter, you're gonna get frustrated if you don't train. So this is where training is valuable. Of course, for me it's quite easy because I know what does this mean step by step. It's not really difficult. You should be able to understand what this means. It's just calculations. If you notice, it's addition and summation, right? There's one here. I may also still miss one. Yeah, I missed one. Now let's take a look. Where did I miss it? I missed it somewhere. Where did I miss it? Okay, I got here data. But this needs to be changed to data. Yeah, df is not defined. Okay, so we change this to data. What is your problem? Now, this is where I call it something is up. Did I miss something here? I just was explaining this to you last time. Do you guys remember that concat is actually concatenating different data frames? So I'm concatenating different data frames, so it should point back as a method to the PD, to the library. So I hope that most of you have figured this out. So while I was just changing, I made a mistake. Do you see what kind of things that could happen to you? That by mistake you mistaken the df by a PD. It could happen, you know, and then you change it by mistake to data, but it actually should be what I told you again and again last time, right? So now that you understand what I told you last time, even if you made such a little mistake, you will be able to figure it out. You see why it was important, the discussion last time. So now you can answer the question. What's the percentage of missing values? Percentage total zero missing values. Here, the total percentage here missing values is 33 for room, 16.7%, and 16.7 for own house. Okay, very good. Now answering this question leads us to this question, impute. So let's impute the missing variables for numerical. The numerical variable here is room. And now we're going to start imputing that. You can use any method of your liking. For example, over here, we could use the method of that we talked about, like grouping by and taking the. I could be specific, but maybe I should be also very specific, and maybe I ask you to impute the numerical data, the numerical variables with the use of group by grouping relevant category. Okay, only one relevant category. I'm not asking for two. So the variable here, numerical variable, is room, and then I'm going to take room, and this room should be grouped by maybe by street name. So I'm going to keep it here, street name, and I will take the mean. Okay, so we don't have the F anymore, we have data, so we're going to just add here data, and then let's see what happens here. And as you can see, we were able to impute the number of rooms. If you would like to change this, if I ask you to change the data type, if I ask you to change the data type, then you have to change the data type using this, convert the data type. So you can just copy. So knowing what's in the here, I don't have number of rooms. I changed the name here for a reason. So rooms, room, and we don't have data frame df. We have the data frame data. And now let's take a look at our data, and you can see that we have just one integer for the rooms. Next thing is to impute the missing variables of the categorical variables. For the categorical variables, I would like you to make sure that none of these categorical variables have error type 2 and some problems. And with this, if you guys remember, we need to detecting the numerics. So the way to do that is to do this code. So I'm gonna copy this code and use it to detect the numerics in my categorical variables. So maybe I could ask also another question here, and I say, so this is question 3, this is question 4, this will be question 5. And with this question, I could ask something like what you guys, what were we talking about? Sorry, my neck hurts a lot. I don't remember what did we talk about? What? I forgot. Come in, guys. I took a lot of medications. In fact, it's nighttime. I'm recording this. What? I'm trying to check. Okay, so maybe the question is check the presence of numerical data entry errors in the categorical variables. Okay. All right. So let's do it. Okay. Let's take a look. So the first categorical variable here. This actually categorical variable, but it is coded in numeric, so it's not really, it doesn't make sense really. So the first one I'm going to talk about is this one, street name, okay? Not talk about, but a check, okay? So name, just need to know where, df, okay? And let's take a look at our data. There's nothing going to happen. So this is the first variable. And over here, let's detect the numbers. Second, I'm going to detect the numbers in the other variable, which is on house. And this is the variable where it has this numeric and this numeric as an errors of type 2 errors. So on house, and let's go ahead. All is good. Perfect. So now I am ready to move on to the next question. Impute the missing variables in the categorical variables. Okay. So what would I do? Well, basically, for these variables, I am first going to use the sklearn simple imputer from scikit, sklearn. So this is for the here. I'm going to type here. I forgot to actually add the questions in text. Remember, I told you maybe I would ask you in the quiz to copy the question and add it in text. Yeah, I forgot to do that. Please don't forget to do that in the quiz. You know, you're younger, smarter, more energetic, and I hope that you are less in pain. So please don't forget, okay? So over here, I'm gonna deal with the first variable, the numerical variable. Which one, you guys? The categorical variable, I'm sorry. First categorical variable we deal with is this street number. As you know, street name, I don't have any missing data. So let me start with this variable street number. For the street number, here I am importing this package from the sklearn impute module. So do you see now? You see how you and here df mode, I am saying that I'm gonna get a copy of my data, and mod imputer, and in the mod imputer, actually it's the first variable is not the street number. If I'm using the mod imputer, what is the mod? The mod is the most common. So I'm gonna use another strategy. So instead of the mod, I'm gonna use for the street number, I wanna use the mean. Look at this, lovely people. I had strategy mean, so I'm just gonna add the mean as a strategy, okay? So over here, I'm gonna keep it as is, right? But in strategy, I'm just gonna put mean, okay? And then, which variable are we talking about, lovelies? The street number. So for street number, I would like you to replace it with the mean, okay? Okay? If you want to replace it with the mean grouped by the street, then don't use this library. Use this line of code. And this is a better way of doing things. Actually, I'm more keen to doing this way. You see? Yeah? You group it by. So let me just be patient a little bit. I'm a bit dizzy here. I just got very strong medicine. And let's here start with the street number. The street number, I am more keen to replacing that with a certain mean. Let's say that certain streets start with 200, others with 100, others with 9, others with 5. I should have actually done something like that, but when I did the data, I just didn't care about that. It would have been nice if I've done it this way. I might change the data right now. So street number, and here street number, and the group by street name. And this way, you guys, we're gonna get a very nice data. But look what happens here. I had Lana. Remember what I told you all the time? Please always, even if you do the group number thing, please always use also this line of code, the mean kind of code, this line of code. You know why? Because you don't see all the data. You might not be able to see all the data, right? So how would you know that some of the data doesn't have a group, doesn't belong to a group? There's only one entity called Lana in terms of a street name. Actually, I wanted to put this as agent name, and this is sales. This is why I had these funny names. Okay, and then here, you always do that so that you make sure, even if you group by, that you always need to make sure that, you see, I forgot this one, that you actually got everything sorted out. Again, I don't think any street number should have this, a huge number of numerics. So what would I do? I am in the middle of something here in the quiz. So I'm just gonna take my code that I already just used and immediately try to get this fixed. The idea of so many so many decimals. Okay. Okay, here we go. So now I'm done with the so many decimals. The last one to do is this yes and no. Even with the yes and no, I don't like the most frequent. In fact, if you want the truth, I am not into this most frequent or mean, the scalar. I would rather do it this way, group by. It does make more sense really for you as a data steward or data scientist. So I would like to get here in yes or no, if you get the mean, it's gonna be grouped by the street name. Okay, let's try this strategy first. So I'm gonna fix the on house, on house, and through the mean and see what happens. What happened now? Ahsoka. I need first to actually encode it in numbers because it can't take the mean, Nora. That's right, you cannot take the mean here. So yeah, I now know why. Oh, okay. Even though I don't like this strategy, but I used it here with the scikit because I wanted to do the encoding in a separate class and did it already. Okay, so you can do the encoding if you want first. So you can do the encoding if you want. Yeah, that would be really good. Or you can just use this kind of code here. And it's anyway, it is it is a quiz, so if it's easier for you, do it this way, unless I tell you otherwise. And now this will actually replace it to numeric, so it is not a numeric, I mean, yeah, this is gonna do the job here, you see? So this has replaced it to the most common. Most common ended up being maybe yes, yes. Or you could do another thing. You could just not do this and go all the way and start working on the dummies, for example. Question. Maybe I should ask you about replacing two dummies first before the missing value. Yeah, not before. Okay, I know now how to do it nicely. So, okay, we can also do that. So now for the dummies, I would like to use also the label encoder this time. So from this, I'm going to use the label encoder. Let me show you. So now here, here is my, so over here, I'm going to use the label encoder. It is easier. Let's put it to test. Perfect. So now I have it coded, but really badly. You know why? Because I use data while this code is mod data. So this is supposed to be DF mode. Do you guys see that? So please be careful what you're doing, right? So here, I am not changing the on house from this table. This table is called DF mode. I'm changing in this table. And this table has yes, no, and NaN. This is why the code ended up being 1, 0, 1, and 2. Okay? So keep your mind fresh. 1, 0, 1, 0. That's good. So 1 is yes and 0 is 0. And now that's it. This is all done. So as you can see here, this is all done. And if you want to merge it with the others, you can just use the concat So you can drop and use the concat. If you want, you can use this very quickly. So you can use it as, for example, here you can use it as data set, and here data set, the last data, pd.concat. I'm going to concat this one. Oh, actually, I don't need. Do I need to concat? I don't think I need to concat, because if I take this, do you see, guys? Let me first of all see what is df mod. Yeah, it is done. So I am done. I don't need to do anything. It is already done. I'm sorry, guys. So over here, I am just looking at this one, but actually, if you just look at everything here, you are already done. So this is why over here in my notes, I just stopped here. But maybe I should probably not. It's going to give me an error now, because you know why it's going to give me an error here? Because it won't find country and it won't find df. Why is that so? Because I didn't run these cells. You need to run these cells so that this file will read the data file and will define the df, which is a data file, a data frame, and will define this and that. Because if the system is not run on these cells all the way down here, it will not be able to read it. It won't read anything. Okay? And this is it. So this is the solution. And for now, let's say that, I am in the mock quiz. I have question 1, question 2 here. And this is section 2, question 3. But section 2 now is starting with this note, right? With the note. And here's question 3. What's the percentage, you guys? So this should be somewhere like here. What's the percentage? And the answer is answered, in fact, here. So now, what is question 4? Impute by grouping by. So here we go. Here's question 4. And we imputed by grouping by. And this is also a continuation of the question, because always when you are imputing with the mean, you always account for some sort of a group here that is not a group, only one individual entity. So that's it. Okay, next question. Next question is a numerical, right? Check the presence of type 2 error. Okay, here's type 2 error. Okay, all right. And then here, this question, which is the impute the missing values in the categorical variables. And here it is. That's it. This is question 6. Of course, this is done 2-in-1. I used this library, and this library has done it together. So maybe you can just, here, you put just question 6. Encode the categorical variables. We're not done with this question yet, because we have this categorical variable, which is the street. So, we haven't finished that yet. So the categorical variables left here for me is the street. So to do this, you need to actually pull out that piece of code that we used to impute the dummies. Do you guys let me check where we put that? It was a library. This one. It's the same code, you guys. Okay. Let's take a look. It's gonna be this, and over here is gonna be street name. So and here data, and here data. Is it data? What did we call it? df mod. So yeah, be careful, you guys. df mod. Let's take a look. Here we go. So we have different street names. So we have so many different street names, as you can see, and they are all coded. I could ask you to save this also. If you guys remember last time, I showed you how to save it. So over here, you can just take this and save it. So dfmod to Excel and call it an output. And I will ask you to save it also. So you know where to get it from. Here's the output. You download it from here. And you can use it for regression. You can use it for any type of data analysis now. This Excel sheet is ready to rock and roll. I could also ask you to save the data into dataset. So you can just say data set is equal to, df mode. Okay, and then call upon the dataset and see. Yes. Now, what happens if you say equal to dataset? It won't work. Okay? Please don't do that. First, you declare the name of the placeholder, the storage, yeah? And then you say it is equal to this. Okay? So here we go. This is it. And best of luck in my quizzes. You see, it's not as difficult. It's just a matter of knowing the code of each file. If I were you, I will create my own file other than this Nora file, and I will call it the cheat sheet. The cheat sheet. And in this file, I will put the lines of codes necessary. I'll put to do this is the line of code. To do this is the line of code. To do this is the line of code. This will make your life easier in the quizzes. As for me, I know this because it took me a while to put it together. Yeah? But for you, I would do the cheat sheet. Of course, I could do the sheet for you, but come on, this is too much of a spoon feeding, yeah? And I don't think I should be doing this, because then it might not make sense to you, because if you wanna run it, it won't run, because it's gonna be just a sequence of unnecessary relevant lines put together in one file, right? Because it's just a sheet. Okay, this is it, you guys. I love you all. Take care of yourself. Stay healthy, and I see you again on Tuesday. Take care.